Hi there, it's Jean from inkyowlstudio. Welcome to my channel and thanks so much for stopping by today. This is going to probably be a craft and chat, but I did want to share with you in the beginning a new idea that I came up with in making an envelope journal. And I'll just get started with it. What I'm going to be doing the next couple of videos with my craft and chat is I'm going to be assembling another Alice in Wonderland journal, but different than the mini journals. Anyways, the idea is to use two envelopes, and what I have here are craft envelopes. I really like working with them because they're very sturdy and they make really fantastic covers for a craft. So that's what I'm working with. And I got these at Michael's. I got a pack of 50 envelopes, I believe, with my coupon. They were like $12 regularly, and then I got my 50% off coupon. So that's where I got the craft envelopes, but you know, they're available in different places. And this is let me measure it here. This is a 6 by 9. It's a nice size because you can take a regular piece of paper and fold it in half, and then you've got like the pages for the inside. And they're really, really nice and easy. So what we're going to end up with is a journal like this. And if you can see here, there's like a little spine on it. I think that the spine, just makes it so that you can probably put more inside here. You can put more pages in. You don't have all the pages stressed with just one seam. You have it spread over 3 different seams. And as you see, you really can't see those seams until you get to the middle signature. So really like this idea. And yeah. It's easy to do. Of course, you got to do it with a sewing machine. This gluing would not work for this. But anyways, I just think it makes a nice little nifty journal and sewn in. So let me show you how I did it. Now I'm going to do it differently than this one because, just like when you do a prototype, of course, you're always going to come up with an improvement later on. So I'm going to do it glue them a little differently than I glued mine. And so you'll take your envelope and you'll fold the one flap back. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold this flap down onto this envelope here. Now, if you want pockets in there, you don't want to glue all over in here. You only want to glue here on the edge, and it will be sufficient for sure because this glue is going to moisten the glue it's already there, so it should hold quite nicely. So make sure your seams line up pretty evenly there so that it'll be a nice fold. There we go. So I'm making sure that it's even here and down across here. Alrighty. Okay. And then this one is going to go over in the same manner. You're going to glue along the edges, just like so. And you're going to come down like this, so that everything will essentially be flat when you fold it over. So that's basically the inside of the journal. Now sadly I don't have enough tea stain paper, so I am going to just use typing paper to demonstrate how I sewed them in. And I can use this for my journal. Anyways, I think I had about 7 sheets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 sheets on the first signature, and you're just going to lay them in there like that. And you might be able to do more. It kind of depends on your sewing machine and how you feel about it. Probably after you do one, you'll know. I might even do one more. Do 8. And you line it up here in the middle. Now, okay, if you want to do pockets, I forgot that. If you want to do pockets and, slit these open, then you'll want to sew now to make your pockets. So you could sew a line here and here to make 3 different pockets, or just halfway to make 2 pockets. So you would slit these open a little bit on each side and then sew your pockets in there at this point. I'm not doing pockets. I'm doing something else on the one that I have here. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew it in and put in clips to make sure that it holds down pretty well. Kind of center it there in the middle. Didn't have that centered too well. Now the stitch length on this is going to be a long stitch length. I used like 3.5. Didn't want to perforate it too closely, so I think 3.5 is about right for me anyways. All right, so now that after you got that secured there, you are going to sew on each side of this middle seam here. And you're going to sew about, let's see here, about a little more than 1/8, not quite a 1/4 inch on each side of that middle seam. So you're not going to sew the middle, you're going to sew here along each side. And just take your foot and align it up and go right straight on down. And it's easy guideline, doesn't take much to see that. And I will sew it and be right back. So there's finished sewing, and as you can see, it's on each side of that center line down there. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. It really doesn't. If you're a little bit wavy, it's all right. Now, once you get this part done, you will get your second layer, and I'm going to put down 4 layers here of paper. And then you'll want to cut off this edge here about 1/4 of an inch. So let me just whack that off here really fast. There we go. I cut it off about that much, about 1/4 of an inch. And then you'll put this in the middle again. And so I cut that off because as it folds up, then of course it's going to be pushed more towards the edge. And I don't know, it's probably not totally necessary, but I think it did lay a little bit better that way. And you're just going to do the exact same thing. You're going to put in your clips to hold it in place. And this time you'll sew right down that middle crease. And I'll be right. All right, so the middle seam is finished. And we just take off these little clips. And then what I like to do is I like to tease out that little seam. So I just, make a crease kind of along each side. Just like this. Looks pretty cool. Little spine there. Depending on how thick your craft paper is, probably have to work at it a little bit. There we go. And so as you can see, that seam is pretty well hidden, especially if you're using coffee dyed paper. Of course, with the white paper, you're going to see it a little bit. But anyways, that is basically how to make a journal with a little spine in an envelope. really easy peasy. Now the only drawback is you do have to decide what your pages are going to be, and if you wanted to sew on the pages or do anything that would require that, then you would have to do that ahead of time, of course, before you sew the pages in. But for me, I'm just going to sew on the ephemera before I glue it in. I'm not going to sew right on the pages. So that there is how you make that envelope journal with a spine. Now, like I say, I did this differently the first time around. I didn't glue it the way I showed you, so I ended up with this type of thing here. Like this one's a full pocket, but this one isn't because of the way I glued the tabs in. But I don't want to waste this because tea stained paper is a lot of work, and it's still totally doable, to do what you want with it. So I have here a piece of Artie Mae. So I'm using her kit, mostly I'm using her kit. And I have a piece here that I printed out on tea stain paper, and I am going to tear around this and layer some other papers together and sew around them and kind of make the journal cover. And so and I also printed out on tea stain paper these black and white images. These came from the Graphics Fairy. Pretty sure they did. And I'm going to use those throughout the pages. So why don't I step away and work on the cover and then get ready to glue it in. Okay, I have layered a couple of sheets here, one here and this there, and sewn around it, stitched around it, and I think I'm going to go ahead and glue this in, although I think something else needs to be here. I'm just not sure quite what yet. So, but anyways, I am happy with it so far. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the fabric tack on here. Now the thing about working with the craft envelope, at least these anyways, is that it takes a little time for the glue to adhere. Even though it's, even glitter glue takes a little time. And you got to kind of hold it down for a little while so it starts to soak in. There we go. And I'll just place this on top of here. So I've used stitching techniques that I have a little tutorial on some ideas. I used a few on here in case you're interested. Sort of sloppy stitching that's sort of wavy around the middle part, and then this part here is straight and then zigzag, straight and zigzag. Those just a couple little ideas to do. There we go. So I know more needs to go here, or at least I feel there does, but I will revisit that later as I get started in here. I did end up, and just want to point it out, I sewed 2 places per pocket for 3 pockets, and it ended up being 2, even though my tags seemed like they were going to fit, it was just too hard to slide in and out. So I just went ahead and took those out and put in a single stitch. And I am going to cover this with design paper of some sort. So just to show you that, I took out the stitching and it still is fine. The integrity will still be fine because it's craft paper, and especially when I glue something over it. So just to show you that, an error can be made occasionally. So I'm going to use these tags here to put in, and then I might have to cut them down just a tad, but I am going to sew cloth on them and just have them, you know, peek out at each side of the cover. I think that'd be kind of nice. Oh, I did want to point out, I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but this three-way stitching idea, I saw, I was inspired by Susie at Creative Cafe Girl, and she did that on just plain paper with no envelopes or anything. She just took plain paper and did that stitching on it to make a journal. And so when I saw that, I go, oh, I bet this would look really good with the envelope. So, you know, her idea was my inspiration to do this. Just wanted to make sure I mentioned that in case somebody else saw that. So I also got from the old design shop all of these pages from I guess an antique Alice in Wonderland book that she put on digitals, and it's really nice. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. My idea is to take a page and let's see, so I took this page here, which is chapter 1. It's the beginning of the story, the first few lines. I tore around it, and I'm going to put it on the page, and I'm going to put it on in such a way that a tag, it will become a pocket for a tag as well. So, and since I'm not sewing directly on the pages, I will sew just on this on the machine and then glue it in. But put it in that way, and then I was going to put some kind of a little collage down here, and do that on a few of the pages. Some of the fun, you know, as the story goes through, maybe just sort of select some of these pages to do that with. I thought that would be kind of fun. Now I actually do have a book. It's not a vintage book. It was just a book that had gotten damaged and everything. That was an Alice in Wonderland book. I mean, I suppose it's vintage. I think it was published in the 60s or something. And I do have one of those that I have used in the past. The only thing that when you go to make pockets from something that's a little older like that, they're not so strong. You know, you'd have to back it onto something else. But I'm able to print this out on some pretty good paper. It's 27 pound, I believe. So it can be a pretty good pocket there. And I don't know. I think this needs a little bit more on it. Just not, it's a little too plain, a little too white, because I'm trying to make this grungy. So let me get my makeup brush. Now I went to the dollar store, or not dollar store, I think I went to, well, it was some kind of discount store, and got this makeup brush. And they might sell them at the dollar store. And they're wonderful, just wonderful if you just want to put just like a hint of tinginess, you know, on your thing or whatever you're doing. They're really great. They're wonderful for stenciling. If you want to put a stencil on and rub this over it, and like a kind of a light stencil, but it kind of, you know, ages it up just a little bit so it's not so, you know, stark in your face. And that will be on the page, and I will eventually have this going here. And then for the little collage down here, I think, because it says here, Alice is beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and having nothing to do. So this little cutout looked like a bored Alice to me. I thought, well, that would be kind of cute. And maybe to represent the book, I kind of put in this little alphabet chart. And of course, the rabbit there with his little stopwatch, he is late. So I think I'm going to put this as a little collage. And then I thought about her dress. So, you know, when I do collages, I just follow a story. And it's my story. It may not always make sense to everyone else, but it helps me and I don't know, makes it fun, I guess. So I got this little piece of it looks like it could be on a little girl's dress. It's a little embroidery stuff. And let me just age it up just a tad bit so it's not quite so white. And I'm going to glue it in here as a little pocket and then slip in some kind of a little journaling, maybe this little journaling ticket or something in here. Get something small and slip it in there for a little bit more. So I think this is what I'm going to go with here for the first one. So I'm going to sew around here first, and I will be back to finish off the gluing. So I'm going to be gluing this in now. I stitched around with that wavy stitching. I like it, kind of makes it, highlights it up a little bit. And I'm just going to get in here and use my glitter glue. Just getting kind of empty on me here. There we go. Make it so that it can be placed for the tag, but I don't want it to be too wide open. There we go. And place it towards the top, like so. So yeah, this journal is going to have a lot of writing spaces on it, and what I like to do, because you know it doesn't have like 100 pages or anything, I like to make sure that when I put a large collage on like this, I do kind of make up for some of the writing space, you know, by making pockets and such. I kind of like to do that if I can. So like always, you have to go around and get the little corners here, make sure they're glued down. There we go. So I like that. That looks nice. And my pinafore was what I was trying to think of. The little this little apron thing. I think that's called a pinafore. Used to be called that. That's what this kind of reminded me of a little bit. So I'm going to put this little pocket down there. And it's not easy to glue on because it's got so many holes in it. That's why I don't want to use the fabric tack, because it dries so shiny. I'm kind of afraid that it would really come through one of those holes. But I think for a small project like this, glitter glue would be just fine holding fabric. Plus it dries clear, so we don't have to be so worried about those holes in there. Alrighty. Put this down here in the corner. There. Let that dry before I put anything in it. Yeah, that looks good. And now let's get in here and get this little collage done. So I had a real disappointment this morning. That is, I've had a Silhouette Cameo now for about 7 years, and I think I bought it when they first started to come out with them. And it finally no longer works. Yeah, it's a combination of a lot of things. It's a big long story, but it's not the machine it used to be, and it no longer will connect. And They just won't update it anymore because it's so old. You know how it is. You know how it is when you buy a phone, then they say, warning, all your updates will no longer update. Or you don't have enough memory to update, you know, so many things. So I am in the market for a new one. Now I know the new ones are really neat because they have Bluetooth, which is so awesome to think that you don't have to plug it all in and you can put it wherever you want to, which is a real bonus because my workspace is just really shrunk. You know how it is. The more you do, the more things shrink up, get more taken up. So I could put it in a place that isn't, you know, taking up valuable workspace. So that would be really great. And plus it cuts so much more now. And the old one did cut fabric, kind of. You had to put in, you know, a special stabilizer, and you had to do a lot of manipulating, but it could cut thin fabric. But this new one just really cuts all kinds of wonderful stuff. So I guess, can you tell I'm being seduced into getting another one? But what I'd like to know, if anybody out there has a Cricut, or has both a silhouette and a Cricut, or knows of somebody, I just wonder, you know, what the advantages are of one over the other. There we go. I like this. This looks really good. Yeah, really cute. So that is the first collage page. And then on some of these pages that I am not going to be putting, you know, this huge collage on, what I'd like to do is take out some of these black and white printouts that I've got and just, you know, put them in there, here and there. I think this is what happens to her next. She gets the potions to take. There we go. So I just thought I would tear around these little images and just place them in there. I think this is what I did with the minis as well. Oh dear. I think my little dog is trying to get in. Oh, poor guy. Here we go. Just sort of like put that in there. I think that would be kind of neat. Kind of nifty. And I believe, let me see here. So here is the page for that one when she starts growing. And then she cries because she can't get out. And yeah. So this might be our next one, I'm not sure. But I do like this here. And I think that can be all I put here. Yeah, I think so. I think that's enough. Really like this cat. Isn't this cat cute? He's so cute. I think that was a Graphics Fairy image on the membership. So I'm just going to place her here like so. So it's a little something to look at, but yet you have places to write. I don't know how this happens. I try to get an edge, but there we go. I like working with Alice, obviously. And I think what I'd like to do, probably not next because I need to move on to another subject, but next time I think I'm going to try and do a shabby chic Alice. There we go. There. That's kind of, I think that I am going to stop here. And thank you so much for crafting along with me today. I hope you will consider crafting and chatting with me on the next one, and just put me on the background and craft along with me and work on your projects. And, and I'll go through here and we'll get this finished. So we will talk to you later. Bye.